Morning, Broad Street. Do the right thing always. Today I'm with Ivy Mueller, and we're going to talk about this week's fundamental. Good morning, Ivy.
Good morning.
Thanks for being with me today. So, Ivy, this week's fundamental is based on integrity. Can you share an incident where you demonstrated that behavior?
Sure. So a while ago, we had a client who had hired us to sell their real estate asset during a time in the market where it was not particularly favorable for sellers of this type of property. And we could have just simply put together a listing and put it up online, knowing that the prospect of finding a buyer was going to be difficult and just kind of left it like that in the background. Which of course we did put together this listing among other things. But we have a commitment to uphold our clients' best interests and to advocate and work this process on their behalf. So we, of course, went through with that listing, but on top of that, we went through a cold calling campaign and several other forms of email and online marketing to drive attention to the property and the listing, to generate some tours and some new leads. And as a result of that, we had some more interest, but in particular, one party whose seemingly intent was to capitalize on the market that we were in and present us with an offer that was well below what we were asking for. And the difficult part was that it was then our job, although the client showed interest in this offer, to be truthful about what we thought if this offer had real standing, um, or was even a price worth considering at this point. Which of course it would have been easy for us to excite or hype up the client about this offer. But in doing so, that could lead them down a misinformed path. And it was difficult to voice our opinions on what we thought about this offer, given the market and that we hadn't had much traction on this property yet. But what we found and was that the client was more pleased to hear our thoughts, um, behind what was presented to us and to hear the steps that we had been taking in the background to advertise the property that went above and beyond just tossing it up online. And so even though that meant that that one offer fell through, our other efforts in marketing brought us a real potential buyer with an offer that was much more market standard, and the client was much more pleased with that. So I think that highlights that while you might want to inflate the reality of having a potential purchaser, you're much better suited in informing your client about what the market is really presenting, what we can get, and demonstrating our expertise in that area to them, because that's what they've hired us to do. So that's one example that comes to mind.
So I mean, that's a great example. So integrity is doing the right thing when no one's around, no one's watching. It's doing the right thing. It generally refers to making choices or taking actions based on your ethical principles or your moral values. So doing what is best for the greater or common goal. And that's what you just explained to us. So, Ivy, the right thing is often what we would not want to do, but we still go ahead and do it. So, should we always do the right thing? Why or why not?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, integrity is having strong moral principles and living by those values. And that's something that we often discuss with our DC team, um, and how holding our clients' best interest is paramount above all else. And that's really how we differentiate our firm from others when we're pitching business to clients. We often speak of a process of best practices to arrive at the most informed decision. Um, it's probably easy to overpromise to clients, in pitches to try to win them over. But what we try to demonstrate, and what we believe is that the reality of highlighting a process of due diligence is much more of what the client wants to hear and how we're actually going to advocate for them. And doing the right thing in any situation, while sometimes not the easiest thing to do, I think it can save you from the downfall of trying to cover up a small mistake, which can snowball into something so much larger. And one thing that I can relate it to also, I mean, the high school I went to had a motto, not just for school, but for life, and a set of values similar to the fundamentals we have at Broad Street behind that statement. And I think the motto of not just for school, but for life translates well into not just for work, but for life. But, involving these fundamentals into our personal lives, our work, whatever it is, because, you know, without having integrity and honesty and these types of principles that are really important to live by, I think you miss out on a lot.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So as you said, under promise, then you can over deliver.
That's right. Yeah.
If you over promise and then there's a shortfall, there's always going to be someone who's disappointed, right?
Yes, exactly right.
So doing the right thing always will gain respect from your peers, from your clients. So if someone is conscientious, that person strives to do what is right while fulfilling their responsibilities all the time. And so then conscientious individuals show care and put in the extra effort. So I'm going to leave everyone with 3 quotes that speak to this week's fundamental. The first one is, "The time is always right to do the right thing," Martin Luther King Jr. The second one is, "Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right thing," Peter Drucker. And the last one is from Mark Twain. "It's never wrong to do the right thing." So as you spoke eloquently about, to gain a relationship, to improve a relationship with your client, with your peers, in personal and in professional, it's always best to do the right thing. So thanks again, Ivy. Broad Street, do the right thing, and have a great week.